right, we are going to look at the relationship between the domain and range of inverses right now. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to plot these points on the graph here and then state the domain and range for it. So there's -6, -3, 0, -1, 2, 4, and then 8, 2. We're going to connect them in that order. So our domain, it goes left to -6. So we'd have bracket -6, and it goes to 8 and touches 8. Our range goes down to -3 and then up to +4. Now we're going to create a table for the inverse and plot the points. So remember, if we have this table, then all we have to do to get the inverse table is to switch our x's and our y's. So this would be the point -3, -6, -1, 0, 4, 2, and 2, 8. And as we go ahead and graph these in, -3, -6, -1, 0, 4, 2, and 2, 8. Again, we're going to connect them in that order. And so our domain for the inverse, probably should have done it in a different color, but this is our inverse. If inverse of x is here, it goes left to -3 and touches -3. And it goes right to 4 and touches 4. Our range for the inverse goes down and touches -6 and goes up and touches 8. And it says, what do you notice about the domain and range of the inverse? So if you look, our domain for the original was -6 to 8, and now our range is -6 to 8. Our domain for the original was -3 to 4, and now our domain is from -3 to 4. So what we're going to say is that the domain of f of x becomes the range for f inverse of x. And then the range of f of x becomes the domain for f inverse of x. So really, again, the x's and y switch for domain for our x's and y switch for inverses. Remember, domain is x, range is y, so it makes sense. Domain is going to become the range. The range becomes the domain. And so here's a problem. Given the function d of x with a domain of -infinity to infinity and a range of -3 is less than or equal to y, which is less than infinity, what would be the domain and range of the inverse? So again, what we were saying is the domain becomes the range. So this x becomes a y, and we just move it into the range part. If you want to write it in interval notation, you can. This just happened to be an inequality notation. The range then becomes the domain, so I'm going to change this y to an x and just move it in the domain spot. -3 is less than or equal to x, which is less than infinity.